This week has already been one for the record books in terms of Destiny news and the stuff that Bungie's been putting out. Of course, earlier this week we had Season 11, the Season of Arrivals, go live, and what preceded that, of course, was a Bungie reveal livestream where we learned not only about this ongoing season of content, we also learned about the expansion coming later this year in the fall. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. We learned about some stuff that's going to be returning to the game. We got stuff like the Cosmodrome coming back. We've got a brand new location we're going to in Europa, one of the icy moons of Jupiter. And we even learned that Destiny 1 content, legendary Destiny 1 content, is going to be returning in Destiny 2 as well. Stuff like the Vault of Glass is going to be making its way into the game sometime in the future, sometime in 2021. And then we even got to learn about the DLC packs that are going to be coming out after that. After Beyond Light, a year later, we're going to be getting the next expansion, The Witch Queen. And then a year after that, Destiny 2 Lightfall. So to say that it's been basically a news-filled week for Destiny 2 is really kind of underselling it. And if you happen to miss any of those amazing announcements and all the other details coming from Bungie this week, we covered all of it here on the channel, and of course, I'll have a link to our video covering that stuff down in the description box below. But today, this Thursday, of course, we have another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie, for the week of June 11th, 2020. And this Thursday, Bungie hit us with some really big, earth-shattering Crucible news. Skill-based matchmaking is gone. And that is no doubt going to lead into a plethora of conversations. Let's go ahead and dive on into this week's TWAB. In a short section titled Match Made in Heaven, this is what Bungie had to say about the changes coming to matchmaking in the Crucible. Well, I say coming, but they're actually already live. By the time that this TWAB is published, a few changes to Crucible matchmaking will be live. Matchmaking based on player skill has been removed from all playlists except Elimination, Survival, and Survival Freelance. Trials of Osiris will continue to be matched based on the number of wins on your passage. We are doing this to respond to community feedback, shorten queue times for players, improve connection quality of matches, provide more places where the outcome of the match isn't as important as enjoying the experience, and finally, to play into the strengths of the Crucible being a bombastic, frenetic action game. The pursuit of glory points in Survival and attempting to go flawless in Trials of Osiris will allow those playlists to reinforce that the outcome of matches are important to keep the stakes high. We want the rest of the Crucible to be less of a high-stakes environment where players can have a more relaxed experience and just enjoy the Destiny multiplayer sandbox. We will continue to monitor feedback and game data around these changes. If we decide to make any further adjustments, we'll let you know. And there we go. And hello, you can hear it. On one side, there's probably an innumerable number of cheers going on right now, of which I would add my voice to. This is something I've been asking for a long time. And of course, with this particular issue, there's almost as many people on the opposite side who are probably not too happy with this change. There have been few topics of conversation within the Destiny community that have been quite so evenly split as the notion of skill-based matchmaking and whether or not it's a good thing for the game. I've certainly spent no small amount of time over the last 5 years since Bungie really started implementing it after the Destiny 1 House of Wolves era. I've certainly been complaining about it and its implementation and the effects that it's had on the Crucible environment, on the connection quality that players experience, on the amount of time that it takes to matchmake. You guys know my stance on skill-based matchmaking. I've never been a fan of it. And while I am very happy to see these changes being implemented, I never would have guessed. If you would have asked me even earlier today if Bungie would have ever removed skill-based matchmaking from all but the most sweaty of playlists, of course, you know, the comp stuff, the elimination, the survival, and the survival freelance, I never would have guessed that Bungie would be removing skill-based matchmaking in the way that they at least have said that they've done it. Now, what does remain to be seen, of course, is probably going to be a lot of testing and a lot of testing videos coming out from all of your favorite PvP Destiny people over on Twitch and on YouTube. Testing things out to see exactly how the matchmaking has changed and if there is a change. And if you've noticed a change, if you've jumped into the Crucible How has the experience changed for you? Are you having an easier time getting into matches? Are you noticing more sweat, maybe less sweat? Be sure to let us know. I actually haven't had a chance to play a Crucible game, just got home and started recording this video here, but I am very excited to test that out. Of course, while they say that they're removing skill-based matchmaking, they've talked about stuff like this before, lessening skill-based matchmaking and whether or not players have actually felt that sort of effect. We don't know if they're still going to be doing lobby-based matchmaking, which is basically where they may be lowering the skill algorithm, but they're still going to construct their teams based on your overall ELO. So if you get a couple of good people in a lobby, it might put those good people on separate teams and put the lesser skilled players and just stack them on top of the higher skilled players. We have no idea if that's still going to be the case here. We do know that that was a thing, at least a part of the skill-based matchmaking algorithm, and I'd imagine some of that probably still exists. But this is a really exciting time. And again, while I know there are a lot of people out there who would prefer that skill-based matchmaking stay in place, people out there who don't want to get pub stomped every single game, believe me, I understand that. I am looking towards the overall quality of the Crucible because it's been bad. It's been very bad for a very long time now, especially in terms of matchmaking and connection quality. I can't even begin to explain to you the number of times I jump into a game and it's just McDonald's Wi-Fi after a 15-minute queue time, and just you're dealing with teleporting people and awful connections all over the place. And I'm so looking forward to not having to deal with that on a regular basis anymore. I'm not going to spend too much time getting into the goods and bads of skill-based matchmaking versus connection-based matchmaking here. I'm sure we're going to have a long conversation about that on the Planet Destiny podcast, but there are plenty of other videos and opinions on the subject out there. MTash put out a video a little bit earlier today that was fantastic. I really agreed with a lot of the things that he said there. So I'd absolutely recommend anybody to go and check out his video talking about the subject. But you know what? Those are just our thoughts. What are yours? Like I said, this has always been a huge, huge topic of conversation in the Destiny community ever since it was implemented again back in year 1 of Destiny 1 after House of Wolves came out. What are your thoughts on skill-based matchmaking? Are you happy to see it gone, or are you a bit more concerned that Crucible's probably going to get a little bit more pub stompy sometime in the future? Are you somebody who is sick of the queue time, sick of the awful connections, and sick of the basic control playlist being sweatier than survival? Well, whatever your thoughts, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And while that was obviously the news of the week when it comes to this week's Swamp, there was one tiny little topic that I thought was also worthy of talking about. And that, of course, was the notion of the Dredgen title. This was directly addressed within the TWAB because, of course, in order to get the Dredgen title, you need to get the collection badge Playing for Keeps, which, of course, required you to pick up a couple of legendary weapons that are no longer available in the loot pool. This, of course, makes completing that badge and getting that title impossible if you haven't done it already. Which definitely sucks, but thankfully Bungie is aware of it. Here's what they had to say on the subject. As you may have read, we made some changes to the world loot pool. As a result, a few of the legendary weapons in the Playing for Keeps collection badge no longer have a reward source in the game. While we still strongly believe that gear collection is a critical part of what it means to earn and wear a title, we're going to remove the Playing for Keeps badge from the Dredgen title requirements in an update next week. While not trivial, the badge didn't represent the challenging portions of earning the title. We feel removing this requirement doesn't reduce the meaning of wearing Dredgen over your head. That said, we don't like making changes to titles as their complexity and depth is what gives them meaning. But in this case, the long-term weapon health outweighs a small change to the title. We know you have a lot of questions about how our Destiny Content Vault announcement this week will affect other titles and triumphs. We will have more details for you soon. Thank you, and keep sending us feedback as we strive to make a meaningful, evolving world in Destiny. So there we go. If you were somebody who was worrying about the Dredgen title, maybe you hadn't gotten it yet, maybe you were missing some of the weapons from that Playing for Keeps there, or maybe you're worried about another title that's currently unavailable, that's Bungie's response to it. Next week, they're going to have a patch coming in to basically remove that badge so that if you haven't gotten those weapons, you can still get the Dredgen title, and they apparently will be making future updates to other titles to make sure that you may still be able to earn those in the future as well. All of this is, of course, going to be an ongoing part of the incoming Destiny content vault, where they're going to be shelving older, lesser played content in order to make space for new and returning content from Destiny 1. It's probably one of the most interesting parts of their live stream earlier this week. Again, if you missed out on any of that news, make sure you go check it out. Bungie put out a fantastic live stream and we got to see a lot of really cool stuff. But alright, Guardians, that is pretty much it for all the biggest bits of news in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. And those are certainly my thoughts on it. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. How you feeling about Season of Arrivals thus far? I would say, at least its first week has been absolutely markedly better than the Season of the Worthy. I don't think anybody would argue that point. But if you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. I'm out for now. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.